tell President Ruto that the people of Palestine are what Mau Mau was. Tell President Ruto that the people of South Africa are what Palestinian people are today. Where our land that get encroached, where our land just get taken, and we get killed on our own land, we get tortured on our own land, we get imprisoned on our own land. When we fight, they say we are terrorists. This Nelson Mandela you celebrate, for 27 years, he was in prison because he was a terrorist. What crime did he commit, which the Palestinians are not committing? His crime was to fight for the liberation of the people of South Africa and the oppressed world all over, including the people of Palestine. It can't be correct that President Ruto, knowing the history of this country and the history of South Africa, comes and tells us that it's with Israelites. Our war is not on Jewish people. Our war is not on pregnant women, Jewish pregnant women. Our war is not on Jewish children. Our war is against a Zionist apartheid state of Israel, and that's what we are fighting. So if he got money from some Jewish person, we are not fighting that funder of his. We are fighting the state of Israel. We are not fighting individuals. We are fighting the state of Israel. At the age of 9 years, the Boers walked into my house and turned everything upside down, stripped my mother naked. When I see what those children of Palestine are going through, I can immediately relate that this is what apartheid looks like. We cannot be Pan-Africanist if we can't associate with the oppressed nation. Our Pan-Africanism is based on the basis that we are an oppressed nation ourselves. And everywhere else where we see an oppressed person, that person is our sister, that person is our mother, that person is our father, because we are not free until the whole world is free from imperialism and colonialism. And those who killed our people in the Mau Mau rebellion cannot be saluted by the same army of the children of those who were killed during Mau Mau rebellion. We have a duty to stay true to the cause. We have a duty to remind the King and Britain of what they did to us. Indeed, he shows no remorse. He says this was bad, it shouldn't have happened. But he runs short of, I apologize, I am sorry. He will never say he is sorry, for because he thinks that his race makes him superior and he's not qualified to apologize to those who are junior to him.
So one time Julius Malema, he was in Kenya. He addressed the bad things which are relative about what the president of Kenya has been doing in Africa. First of all, we know that the German chancellor, not chancellor but president, he came to Tanzania the other day. As we know that Tanzania was ruled by the Germans right before the end of 1945, which is the Second World War, where we had them taken away from their colonies. So the British were taking away the German colonies because Germany had lost the Second World War. And so he came back, and there was this fight in Tanzania. It was called Maji Maji, the Maji Maji Rebellion. So he came and he started apologizing to the Africans for the killings that the Germans did. You know, Africans were killed. A lot of Africans were killed. African warriors were killed in this Maji Maji Rebellion, which was led by an African leader who was also known as Kinje Kitelengwale, if I'm not wrong. So Kinje Kitelengwale was leading by the spirit of Pan-Africanism, the same spirit that Julius Malema has, but he didn't have the weapons to fight against the superior weapons that the white people had. but we love the spirit they had. They had a big spirit, you know. So he came to Tanzania, he apologized. Also, we saw the president, the King Prince Charles. He came to Kenya, he was apologizing to the Africans, to the Kenyans, for the wrongdoings that the British had done to Kenya, you know. There was these freedom fighters in Kenya who are known as the Mau Mau. The Mau Mau fought really hard battles for the independence of the Republic of Kenya. In 1963, Kenya saw its independence, and in 1964 we became a fully independent state, and this was achieved by the Mau Mau fighters. Great credit has to be given to them. Give credit where due. This man and these people really fought. So now, as Prince Charles was coming back, apologizing, German president moving to Tanzania, you know, them coming and trying these diplomatic talks, Julius Malema labels them as hypocrisy. You can't make right the things that you made wrong. You can't undo the effects of colonialism. And Julius Malema is calling this hypocrisy. And so without further ado, let's dive into this video and get to see what Brother Julius Malema has to share with us upon this. I hope that we learn and we are able to get some insights. So let's dive in and see what the brother has to say.
London has got the biggest storage of gold, yet they don't have a single smallest mine of gold. Their economy is based on our minerals. And if we safeguard our minerals and protect them and say out of these minerals, we are producing a currency that is going to compete internationally, we stand a good chance. We need African Central Bank. We need African Monetary Zone. We need African military combat, because these pockets of wars that are happening in Africa are not of our own making. They are sponsored wars so that those who continue to steal our resources can do so uninterrupted as we fight ourselves, amongst ourselves. So we need a military, a common defense system, the African High Command that will ensure the stability and security of Africa. We equally need a binding African court to deal with dictators who only exist in Africa to feed their friends and families. I was not brought by a plane here. I was not brought by a car here. I was driven by the spirits of those people who were dumped in the oceans. And when they were dumping them in the oceans, their cries are still crying loud till today. They did not dump them in the ocean only. They dumped them chained on their hands and their feet, and they could not fight. When the sharks were eating them in those oceans, they could not fight. Even if you know that today I'm going to die, but it is always good to die fighting. That you must hold the shark even when you know it's going to swallow me. I must die fighting. Those people who died in the ocean said to me, you ought to arrive there. For because what you guys are going to start there is that which is going to seek reparations for us. As you leave this place and going back to your home, remember the people who died in the plantation, beaten, treated like dogs. Remember all of those slaves that asked for help and they never found help. But you must say to them in spirit, the help has arrived. And that help we declare today that will fight the battles of the heroes and heroines of Mau Mau, of Mbambata Rebellion, of the slaves. This Pan-Africanist Institute must be at the center of demanding reparations for all the suffering Africans have gone through because of colonialism. We must teach our people that we are not beggars. When we ask for reparation, we are not asking for donation. We are asking for what was stolen from us to be returned so that we can prosper and become a better nation. I don't know if President William Ruto means it, because he said so many things and I can't locate him these days, because the things he said during election and the things he's doing now are two different things. I don't know, because I heard him saying we need to do away with the dollar and build our own currency, but his actions are not speaking to anything of doing away with the dollar. The latest being putting a red carpet for a murderer, a person who killed the Kenyan people, coming into this country, receiving a red carpet and being saluted by our own army. This is not a Kenyan army, it's not a colonialist army. The Kenyan army is a product of the Mau Mau rebellion on the war between Russia and Ukraine. But I'm still to hear the stand of President William Ruto about the ongoing war that is not covered by anyone in DRC, where people are fighting over territorial expansion and plunder of resources, and blacks are killing other black people, and we pretend that we don't see. It's important as leaders of states and governments to always condemn violence and war, especially if it's barbaric and informed by tribalism and unjustifiable territorial expansions. Before you can speak about other countries, charity begins at home. Let there be peace in DRC. Without peace in DRC, Kenya will never know peace, because these rascals are going to learn from those wars in DRC and want to import them into Kenya. You have a duty to stop them there before they come into Kenya. Comrades, we will make sure the struggle of all immigrants, most of whom are economic migrants and asylum seekers in South Africa. We will never. In South Africa, they say to us, if you want to be elected, you must declare war on illegal immigrants. And illegal immigrants, they mean Africans. We have refused as the EFF that we will never declare war on any immigrant, illegal or legal. Illegal according to whose law? Because if you are illegal, you should have violated a certain law. Which African law did these people violate when they came to this side of Africa? Because they are still in the same territory of Africa. They are at home when they are in South Africa. We wish to tell them we're going to elections next year in South Africa. We wish to reiterate that, and we tell them all the time, if they want to elect us on the basis of xenophobia, they can keep their votes. We are not disparate for votes. We are disparate for the unity of Africa, and that's what we want to achieve in our lifetime. Remove the visas as an immediate step, and I heard Kenya is going to do that by December. Perhaps I must come back here in December unannounced, so to test if indeed President William Ruto means exactly what he said when he said there won't be visas in December. Maybe I must sneak in and test without applying for any visa and just give them the South African passport and say I'm coming home. Mama, we want to commit in front of you and all the dignitaries who are here and the students, that this Pan-African Institute will be supported by the EFF, will ensure that indeed it has got a home in South Africa. We will not only support it verbally, we will put money into it, we will pay the staff members of the institute, we will also pay the offices of the institute, because we believe that we must speak one language as Africa. We will donate the books here at the university to ensure that every African writer has got his or her book in the Pan-Africanist Institute. Let's all spread the gospel. Indeed, it was not a mistake to launch it here in the rural areas, because no one must be left behind. If you can carry on your back the rural communities, you have no any other option to go anywhere except to go to the urban. But if you start from rural, there is no way you can cover the urban. But if you start from the urban, you are going to be reluctant to come to the rural. We are starting here to liberate our people in the rural areas, and we're going to the urban to ensure that everybody hears the message.
To me, I personally don't think that the prince was hypocritical. I think he's just trying to make things right. I don't think the German chancellor was hypocritical as well. I think they are trying to make reparations for the wrong things they did to the Africans during the period of colonization. With no doubt, the Berlin Conference saw the destroyal and the destruction of African people, culture, religion, politics, and all that. Them coming is a symbol of peace, and it's much appreciated. Let's choose where there is peace. Let's choose the diplomatic efforts. Let's appreciate the diplomatic efforts that these people are trying to bring, and that's all I can say. Julius Malema, on the other hand, is logical. He's a realist. It's true, we can't undo the consequences of colonialism, slavery that they did to the Africans. However, you know, it's not your fault that you have the traumas. It's not your fault. It's not Africa. It's not our fault that we have the traumas, but our healing is our responsibility. Yeah, I heard this from a friend. Our healing is our responsibility. We can't go on blaming them. You know, it is a time where the victim mentality is making us look bad. You know, we should leave this bubble of victim mentality and appreciate what they are doing in such a way, because, you know, once bitten, twice shy. I'm not more into proverbs. Once bitten, twice shy. A person learns the ways, because you should never be tricked twice. A trick should not happen to you twice. No. You're not an animal. We are good Africans with an intellectual mind. We now know how they operate. And now when they make one step, we make 2 steps ahead. Let's stay steps ahead of them. Double, triple, whatever amount. As much as we are ahead of them, we are safe. We allowed them inside. We saw what they did. It's time we don't allow them back inside. That's how it should go. Julius Malema, thank you for sharing this information. With Africans, we are able to learn the history. Those who don't know the history of Kenya about the Mau Mau, they have done a really nice work. Actually, the first president of Kenya was also a Mau Mau fighter, Jomo Kenyatta. He was a Mau Mau fighter. This tells you why it's so important to appreciate the efforts that Africans made during the struggle for independence. All this because of the greed that the people who joined or who were invited into the Berlin Conference attended. The Berlin Conference they created a plan to destroy Africa. But now we know what they can do. Now we be smart. That's what we have to do as Africans. So I hope this video enlightened you. See you in the next video, where we'll share more insight about Africa and African stories. See you in the next one. Support me on the channel. Give the channel a super thanks. Join my Patreon. I'll so much appreciate. See you in the next one.